States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Very good. Moving right along. It's Valentine's Day, Judy, and,
yes, it is.
Isn't that great? And my wife's not here, which is...
She's probably watching on TV. Is there something you'd like to say to her?
Well, it's almost time for NCIS, so I don't think she's probably watching. So happy Valentine's Day to all our spouses who are not here, and we're here, right, Pat? We're not, and it's not our fault we're having a meeting on Valentine's Day. It is it's a quirk, so it's fine.
I invited my husband, he declined.
I can't imagine. So we do have important business to get to, and there is a modification to the agenda. Brad, is there?
I'd like to offer two, under Roman 2, I'd like to just reverse the order, do the appointment first and then swear in the new clerk. And then under item Roman 6A, the revised academic calendar, it says a calendar dated 1/27/12. It'll actually be a calendar dated today, 2/14/12.
The famous academic calendar that seems to be changing every time. So on to the first business, and Brad, if I can.
I'd like to move the appointment of the clerk. The resolution is printed in the agenda.
Second.
Thank you, Pat. All in favor? That's everyone. And since we have taken that action without objection, Kira Johnson, if you would please rise, and I will rise as well, and please go ahead and review.
I, Kira Johnson, do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New York, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the District Clerk according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations, Kira. Boy, are you lucky. All right, on we go. Receiving and hearing of delegations, public and staff. We do have a few folks signed up. And Kat, Eric, please. Here we go.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening. Before I begin my remarks for this evening, I'd like to remind members of the board that I'm here to provide you with information which I have obtained through FOIL and other public documents. Some of this is not easy to obtain, and so I'm providing it to you and to Superintendent Brown as a public service. First, I'd like to call to the attention of the board the resignation of Dr. Pedro Noguera from the SUNY Board of Trustees 2 weeks ago. This SUNY board oversees many charter schools in New York State. Dr. Noguera's work in promoting urban educational opportunities for disadvantaged youth is legendary. He resigned over a dispute with SUNY decision to open charter schools that are not intended to serve disadvantaged youth. His public statements have noted that charter schools are being opened primarily for political purposes rather than to serve at-risk populations across New York State. Secondly, I want to call your attention to the findings of the New Roots Charter School final report of its site visit to New Roots conducted in May of 2011. The entire report is not yet posted online, but it's going to be on, I guess, at www.newyorkcharters.org. The report documents areas of concern, concluding that New Roots does not provide the target services to meet the specific academic needs of at-risk students, that New Roots does not have a strategic approach for addressing academic priorities, nor an organizational structure able to support clear lines of accountability, and that New Roots leadership does not systematically monitor student achievement with regard to meeting state performance standards. These areas of concern, especially regarding the large at-risk population at New Roots, is something I'd like our board to be aware of and to ask Ithaca, as the district of location for this school, to intercede on behalf of students who are not being adequately served by this school. Thank you.
Thanks, Beth. Judy, at my list, but it just so happens that I believe we have 2 students from New Roots here to speak to us tonight. And boy, I can't.
Naomi Hickman.
Naomi Hickman, please. Go ahead.
Mr. Harris asked how the Ithaca City School District and the community can benefit from New Roots. We'd like to talk about experiences as New Roots students that have changed our lives. I am Naomi, a senior at New Roots Charter School. I've been at New Roots since the very first year. I'm originally from Candor High School. Even though Candor was good academically, I found the social and community environment to be very unsupportive. I found that Candor was segregated based on income, academics, and race, and I never felt that I fit there. Each day I went to school there, even though I didn't want to go. I heard about New Roots from a friend's mom before it opened, and I enrolled along with 2 friends. I met the principal and the others who founded the school, and just knew it was the place for me. The warmth of the staff and the commitment to sustainability, the close-knit community, and the acceptance that I felt were so different from what I had experienced before. These elements have made this place where I've grown in many ways I didn't know I could. I've been a student council member, done internships at Planned Parenthood and Green Star Cooperative Market, shown my artwork at local galleries, and sold it at local markets. I passed the algebra regents on my 6th try after hard work with my dedicated teachers. I have had many opportunities to develop my skills as a community activist and voice for my school on issues of social justice, sustainability that concern me. Examples of this are participating in recent Building Bridges community conversations, meeting with lawmakers at the state capitol to discuss issues of educational choice, traveling to New Orleans to aid with Katrina recovery efforts, and so many more. I don't know what I'd do without my school. At New Roots, I know that I am valued by my teachers and peers, which I had not felt before. I am viewed as an equal and someone who is capable, intelligent, and important member of the community. I know from my own experience and from my conversations with students that this school has changed our lives. As some of us would like to say, we tried, we are trying, we are succeeding. I do it for myself and for my school.
Hello, my name is Rocky Bellinger. I'm also one of the first graduating seniors at New Roots. Very proud, as well as the first in my family, and the first in my family to also go to college. This is a big thing for me. And after all the little bumps in the road, I can say that I'm honestly a success. I came to New Roots after a childhood of moving around and attending many, many different schools. I was seen as, I guess you can say, a troublemaker in most eyes. Here at New Roots, I haven't seen either of those. Troublemaker, that's not me, or someone who to be quiet. I'm a good risk taker, and at first, I had no intention to graduate high school or succeed in life. I couldn't foresee anything positive happening in my future. I couldn't even get engaged with my academic classes. I'm proud to say, since I've been enrolled in New Roots since day one, I've turned around my life completely. I'll be graduating this year, like I said, the first of my family and first to go to college, which I'm very proud of. I will also, thanks to all the extra support and encouragement from every single one of my peers, as well as staff members, and all the time they've taken out of their own special days of rest. I've taken the ability to grasp on the concept of sustainability and my other academic subjects. I've passed every single one of my regions, even my algebra regions, which took me 4 times, thanks to all the support of my teachers. I enjoy my classes now. I enjoy mostly my public policy class, in which I will be receiving credits through Syracuse University. We are designing real policies and projects that benefit the community and our school, such as Naomi's project to better support the relationship between police officers and community, and my own, a peer-to-peer mentoring program. This class has taught me more than just academic skills, but skills to pursue my future career as a business manager of the performing arts, doing booking, music, performance, as well as other. I went from barely talking to being on the student council, organizing and performing musical events for youth and also our new mayor, Savante Myrick, becoming an activist for the things that I believe in, like attending Power Shift Conference in Washington, D.C. New Roots has completely changed my life around from heading into a ditch to heading down the road to success.
That's it for those who have signed up. Anyone else wish to speak? Not seeing. Thanks. Rocky, which is your home school? Just.
I came from Candor.
Okay. No, thank you. I appreciate that. Student reps. I'm looking at Allison. Anything? Andrew?
I'll start. Last Tuesday, IHS students sat for the AMC 10 and AMC 12. Many students participated, and we're looking forward to the results. Also, in gym class, we are enjoying the new facilities, and we would like to express our appreciation.
We'll get to that in board comments, but you are?
The seniors taking WISE class, the individual senior experience, have been successfully exited. People working on projects from making novels, to running a marathon, to making music, to restoring a old dirt bike. Today, actually, Red Cross Club successfully put on the Valentine's Day blood drive, which is an annual blood drive that happens on Valentine's Day. And there are a lot of donations. I don't have an exact number. The senior class officers have been working really hard with the administration, and winter formal is scheduled for March 10th. There have been many changes, and we're hoping for a fun time for everyone and a safe environment. And on Tuesday, the 24th, which was during Regents Week, about 20 physics students sat for the Physics Olympiad for mechanics test. And so we hope that they did well.
In these last couple of weeks, we've been working, the students have been working with the guidance department on next year's schedule, and there have been a lot of changes in the scheduling process. We're now registering for classes online, which makes the process a lot easier and a lot faster. Also, this week are the exams for the AP English classes at IHS, so that students registered for those classes can qualify. And today, the scores for the plan exam, which many of the sophomore class took, became available. People did very well.
Great. Anything else? We'll swim right over to Aviv.
Certainly, yeah. Well, unfortunately, Noah is not with me here tonight, but I'm sure she's watching at home and taking lots of notes for the next meeting.
No doubt, no doubt.
All right, well, the first thing I have is that tomorrow night is our annual State of the School address, where it's an interactive night where all people in attendance will be asked to reflect on this past year at LACS and thoughts on moving forward. So we're very excited to have that. Also, last week, LACS as a community broke into 3 different meetings to work on our school development plan. Our school development plan is broken into 3 different parts. So each meeting was tasked with redesigning each part, looking back and seeing how we've done, if we've met all our goals and our benchmarks, and where we want to go, what kind of goals and benchmarks we want to keep, and which ones we think we have met and can get rid of. So that was a interesting and informative meeting, and the site-based council will be working with all the comments from that meeting to create a new one by the end of the year. Also, 2 LACS seniors have been named as finalists in the National Merit Scholarship Awards. So we're very proud of those 2 seniors. I won't name them here in case they don't like that. I don't know.
Obviously not their PR people.
No. At the end of the month, our senior project descriptions are due, so all seniors at ACS, if you don't know, have to do a senior project as part of our graduation by exhibition, and this is the first step in getting that project done. And so it's very exciting, lots of people running around looking for inspiration and ideas and trying to find mentors for that project, so it's a fun time at LACS right now. So I'm just buzzing through these because I have Noah listed on some of these here. Staff right now are finalizing a policy on plagiarism. It's kind of a unified policy across our school so that students will be clear on consequences and just how we respond to different plagiarism incidents, and I think that this will make everything a lot clearer for students and a lot easier to understand. So that is certainly good. And as a school right now, we are currently reviewing our trips for the spring. Personally, I think that having the issue with transportation is a good thing for us as a school. I think we've become complacent in the past couple years with our trips, just assuming they are a given, they're a privilege. I think having to deal with this issue of why we really want to go on our trips, why we think they're important, I think has made us as a school realize the importance and educational value of our trips. So we're, as a community right now, looking forward and looking for creative solutions to figure out transportation for those trips. And finally, 2 students will participate at the end of the month in the Dorothy Cotton Human Rights Training. We're very excited for that. I think it'll be not only good for those 2 students, but also good for the whole school because they can come back and bring that information to the school. Oh, and one more thing. Yes, thank you for spending your Valentine's Day here as a student. Personally, it's good to know that you hold our education above possible reprimanding from your spouses.
Forever and always. There's no possibility.
That's all I have.
Thanks indeed, as always. Board responses? So,
First, I just want to say how I really enjoyed hearing how you connected and that you had a really good experience at your school. But I did want to point out, since we're the Ithaca Board of Education, you know, we have 2 high schools as well, the LACS and Ithaca High School, and our students are having great experience like that. They had, last week we just went to the Code Red Robotics team and saw them, you know, having those similar type experiences and really doing it. So it's always, serving on this board, it gives us great joy when we hear experiences like this. But we hear them here, we talk about LACS, community service, you know, the ability to get out there in the community. So it's just great hearing kids having great educational experiences, and you know, it's just want to acknowledge and brag on Ithaca a little bit and the options and the things we provide to our students as well.
appreciate that. Go ahead, Elton.
Pat, I want to thank you again for bringing your concerns forward, and I really want to say that what you said tonight was important. Some of us on this board actually know Pedro, and I understand what you said about his particular concerns about how we are playing politics with something that is extremely critical to most of the members on the board, which is why we're here and not at home with our spouses. But I will say again, although I know it's our elected duty to be responsible for what happens in the district's resources, I feel it is imperative to remind everyone that we can't just come to the table with negativity around possibility. I remember when New Roots was first started and we talked to the people from the Charter Institute. They conceded their process wasn't perfect. They conceded that because we are Ithaca, we expected to have a much more vigorous input than most communities who they dealt with before. But now we are actually in the body of water and we're swimming. And I think it's inappropriate to intone that our responsibility should be just to let these kids drown. Right? So I'm going to encourage you to possibly sit with us, possibly sit with the new principal, and begin to have conversations about what's possible. When I heard the young people speak about their experiences and where they were, there is no adult in this room who wants to deny them the opportunity. The fact that we don't have Ithaca high school students represented, or students who decided not to attend our schools, is immaterial. I'm going to ask you again, can we try to create a constructive space in which we have this dialogue?
Other comments? We'll just go back to Tony. You are. That was just students are using some of the new facilities at the high school. Is that what I heard?
Yeah.
In the PE place.
Yeah.
Which parts and what?
Well, it's the. I would think it's the adaptive PE room.
PE should be.
To some extent.
God, that's terrible.
The other, the rest of it's not done yet, but
I didn't know what was done.
So that's we appreciate hearing that. That's nice to know. The rest of it will be done soon, mid-March or so. We will be looking at turning over all the the rest of the rooms for the benefit of the students, not only at the high school but the district. But so we will continue, Dr. Brown, to consent agenda. We're not quite ready for you yet, but we will get there soon. This will be a little different meeting as far as structure and content. This is going to be much more of a workshop meeting. This is something that Dr. Brown has talked about, turning our first meeting of the month into more of a workshop working group session. So we will do that, and we're going to do it soon, and we're going to get through the consent agenda. If I could have...
I'll move the consent as presented in the agenda.
Second.
Second. Any discussion, questions? All in favor? That's everyone. And Dr. Brown.
Thank you, Ms. Kennedy. I wish to spend my time tonight doing just one thing, and that's celebrating and highlighting the work of a very special person. As you just approved on your consent agenda, the retirement of a great administrator. I have no other word for it other than a great administrator and a great person. This past summer during our administrative retreat, we spent 3 long days together, long days. And at the end of those 3 days, we handed out some awards for the work of those 3 days. And this particular individual was awarded the Purpose-Centered Award. A 30-year vet we gave this token to because throughout the week, she brought everyone back to why we were there. And she had a sense of energy and engagement with her that sparked something in all of us, even and especially me. And so we recognized her that day. And since my interview, when she was on one of the panels, I've had a connection with this individual. So I was to share some highlights from her. I did some research today. And it goes back, oh wow, 30-some years. Back to 1981, in which she started her career in the district as a speech and language therapist in September of that year. And she opened up an integrated language arts program for special education, an option 2 class. I don't even know what that is, but that's what she did. And from 1990 through 1995, she was a co-chairperson for the Committee on Preschool and Special Education. In 1995, she became the director of early childhood programs, and she implemented our district's universal pre-K program. In 2002, she was asked to be the interim principal at Beverly J. Martin Elementary. And in 2003, she was named the permanent principal. And I could go on and on for hours about what she's done to build community and help thousands of young people in their career while in that particular building. But with my time, that I just wanted to recognize we have one of the good ones retiring. And I know she has many, many more years of work yet to do. So, and I'm looking forward to seeing her in the field, in classrooms, and in the community going forward. But as of June 30th, she's going to be retired, and we're going to be missing her. So Denise Gomberg, congratulations.
Thank you, Dr. Brown. We will move on. We do have 2 items of business to deal with before we get to the main body of work for the evening. And once again, Dr. Brown, the revised academic calendar. We're going to keep doing this until we get it right, apparently. And that will be June 21st or so.
I think I've said this 10 times now, but
Brad's keeping track, but we're not going to mention how many times.
This represents the state's latest date. The ELA exam date has been changed yet again. And therefore, the score needed to be changed. Therefore, that affects our academic calendar for particularly our elementary 8 students, or grade 3-8. So
it's Albany's fault.
I'd never blame anyone.
Okay.
For why
Well, they're only keeping half of the Race to the Top money for the bureaucracy in Albany. I mean, maybe they need to keep more of it. So they
half, like 50%.
Yeah, 50%. Yeah, 350 million of the 700 million to keep in for themselves.
I will move the revised academic calendar.
Thank you.
Before we get lost, did I get a second? I think by Pat. Without further discussion, Chris, do you have anything? No. Okay. All in favor? We are once again accepting the revised academic
And the
calendar.
scoring date will be April 30th.
This is the last time we vote for this.
No, you lost. Just 5 votes, Dr. Brown. That's all we need, man. Just 5 votes. On to the appointment of Board of Registration, of the Board of Registration. See, I can read that really well. And it's a good thing that we appointed a district clerk, and Kara was very nice to take the oath, because you are now going to be appointed as to the Board of Registration, and that has to do with the very important job that Kira has, that Doreen took over last year. That is the election that we do every May, and so.
I'll move appointment as presented in the agenda.
And the verbiage is there, second. And questions, all in favor? Comments, all in favor? That's everyone. So Dr. Brown, we are done with all the business, and we are ready to take on an important subject.
Very important subject, and Ms. Evelyn and Dr. Myers are coming to the table to help with this. I forget the date. It seems like 2 years ago, but I think it was more like 2 months ago, where we had a great conversation about what we worked on program for serving our students with special needs in the district. I remember the faces, your faces and community members' faces, and we put data up that wasn't, for a district going after excellence, the data wasn't what we wanted to see. We were tasked as a staff to come back to you with a plan to shift those numbers. We've spent many hours over the past 2 months working through this and having conversations, and we're happy to come back to you tonight with a plan, which we're calling a continuous improvement plan for special education. And these young ladies are going to help me walk through it. Tonight is a work session. We plan to spend just a short amount of time, maybe 5 to 10 minutes, presenting some things to you as far as the strategies and why we've done what we've done. But having a breakout session, and we'll split the board in groups of 3, and we'll let you self-select. And we're going to go into 3 different places throughout the building, and we'll have conversations with you. We have educators in the room tonight who are going to be at the table with you, and you'll have an opportunity to ask us questions. We have some guiding questions, but there's an opportunity for you to learn more about the individual, any one of the 10 strategies, learn more about the SMART goals that we're going to speak about in a second, but just to develop the capacity, the board level capacity about why we are putting this in front of you, something as a plan that we're going to use to move forward. But before we go into the why and the what, we want to take some time to talk about what happened leading up to this place. What we know that a foundation has been built in order for us to even have this conversation. Leaving the meeting, that was a long meeting, and at some point of it frustrating and contentious, my comment to staff was, what's happened to even allow us to have that conversation? For the folks who watch this discourse across the country, that conversation at the board level doesn't happen often. In that transparent of a way, and that open and honest of a way. So something happened in the years prior to that meeting that would allow us to have that kind of open dialogue. So when going back and doing some research, we have some things that we want to talk to you tonight about, some things that have happened over the last decade or so.
Yeah, and really I do see this slide as an essential walk down memory lane, so to speak, in terms of what we've done to get to this point. So the Hare report submitted by Dr. Thomas Hare in March of 2006 really, for the most part, highlighted the lack of shared vision for how we deliver special services to special education students in this district, and also a lack of management structures for sharing information and resources to best serve those students. As an outgrowth of that report, we did make some incremental positive movement in the right direction. One of the things that I think is important to highlight is that we were able to extinguish, for the most part, 12 to 1-to-1 programs at the elementary and middle levels. There's only one existing 12 to 1-to-1 program left at the high school, and that will be extinguished as of June 2012. We were able to extend our continuum of services that we offer to students with special needs in this district, including bringing those students back from Binghamton that have autism and integrating them, for the most part, into the schools. And we were also able to see some improvement in student achievement. When we looked at the numbers, we really saw more movement actually for students with disabilities than general ed students between 2002 2005 cohort. So those are important highlights to mention in terms of the movement that we made as a result of the findings in the Hare report.
And then transitioning, we're going to skip down to disproportionality committee because we wanted to go, again, walking down memory lane, looking at the timeline. When I joined the district in 2007, one of the very first things on my radar screen and my scope of responsibility was to convene the disproportionality committee with Sheila McHenry, the director of special education. And the focus of that group, which comprised of varied stakeholders in and outside of the district, was to really look at the fact that we needed to conduct a focus review per the New York State Education Department. And the focus review really centered on looking at behaviors that were, in some instances, leading to either in-school suspensions, principal suspensions, or superintendent hearings. So we spent a good amount of time kicking off that meeting in the summertime. We held 2 meetings, one in July and one in August. And I think it was the first time, at least in a long time from what was shared with me, that we were really transparent about the data. And we gave people an opportunity to really wrap their hands around it and then get a sense of what was going on relative to student behavior. So we convened several times, information was shared, we had good conversations, and outgrowths of that committee included revising our behavioral intervention plans and really ensuring that educators, when they were interacting with students relative to behaviors, we were starting to build that concept of inter-rater reliability.
And then I think it's important to talk about the equity report card and equity working groups together. The equity report card, I think, is a national model, right, of collaboration between the district and the community, and really focused on developing an equitable and inclusive education community. Fast forward to 2009, we got some new board members, and we were able to really streamline the metrics related to the equity report card, and born from them, again, were the continuation of the equity working groups focused on 3 through 8 ELA and math, graduation rate, attendance, discipline, and...
Did you say attendance?
I did.
Yeah.
There was a 6th metric.
Oh, it was recruitment and retention, the human resources
Yes,
component.
thank you, and recruitment and retention. Mm-hmm. Most recently, I think it's important to mention that the recommendations that have most recently been an outgrowth of the equity working groups are really reflected in the plan, in the continuous improvement plan that you'll see this evening, and they include things like the hiring of instructional coaches, right? The development of job-embedded professional development, a focus on ensuring that we have consistent programs in ELA and math. And so it's important to highlight that work and to value and honor the work that was done, right? Because you're going to see it again this evening.
And then just one other shift that I think really represents a significant paradigm shift was the way that we were handling superintendent hearings in particular. And again, talking about building that inter-rater reliability and ensuring that the consequence matched what the particular quote-unquote infraction was. So we built in things like member checks within schools, but also with central office, and ensuring that we were supporting students in the best ways through that process.
And the last piece that I want to talk about is the inclusion committee, and that work was done over the last 1.5 to 2 years. And we saw a lot of congruency in terms of the metrics that the inclusion committee was looking at, and they were the same as the equity committee. And again, focused around building more inclusive practices in the district, defining inclusion for the district, and ensuring that we saw some positive movement in a data-driven way around the achievement of students with disabilities in the district. I would like to just reiterate that all instruction has been moved under the offices of curriculum and instruction, and it's been really a shift in terms of special education programs being considered ancillary, so to speak, and really being brought into the perspective of being a core part of our teaching and learning process, which of course is our core business. So.
This represents the work of many, many educators and many, many community members. So we want to take some time to honor that work. And it's a very good work that has moved the district in significant ways. But yes.
Before you guys go on to the future, I just want to thank you, Leslie, for reminding me about what you said about before you came here in 2007. For those who may not remember prior to your arrival, it was so bad for parents in this community. I was regularly engaged in conversations with Cornell Law School about expanding their legal aid clinic to develop a specialty in educational law. So parents in this community would be able to defend themselves when they got that magic phone call saying your child is suspended for a year for luck. Right? And having a legal background, the infractions at the time certainly did not seem to me that they warranted that kind of draconian action. And there was a dramatic drop-off in those kind of mismatched scenarios after your arrival in that committee forum. So thanks for reminding me about it. And I just want to reiterate how far we came in a short distance. It was really bad for parents.
And many would argue that we're in a good place. But I think from the meeting this past December, everyone would say we're not in an excellent place. And that's why we're here today. It was very clear that we are not comfortable with incremental improvements anymore. We want to leapfrog where we are now. We want bold and innovative approaches to this work. And that's why we come up with 2 SMART goals, and we share them with you. I hope that you see that this is bold, and you'll see the time frame is bold. And to get to these things, it's going to take an innovative approach to how we do business throughout the district in all areas. The first one, I've looked at that video from that first meeting 25 times to synthesize the information. And I think I've synthesized it down to 2 SMART goals, what I think I heard from you and other community members. Educators will eliminate the disproportionate identification of students with disabilities with respect to race, ethnicity, class, and gender by fall 2015. Our numbers did not look good when we looked at them. They have not been good for what I heard for 20 years. This is going to be bold for us to do by 2015. And we're confident that the strategies, the 10 strategies that we have in place are going to allow us to get there in a very short amount of time. Students identified with students with disabilities will perform at comparable levels to non-identified students by fall 2015. What that's saying, and we're going to be out there in front of many, many school districts in this country, is that we're going to eliminate achievement gaps. We're going to take our best shot at eliminating achievement gaps by 2015. Not only eliminating achievement gaps, we're going to have proportionate representation when it comes to identification. Is that bold enough? That's bold. That's bold. To do this, and you've tasked us to do this. To do this, we got to do work differently. And we got to think different. And I'm taking it from Steve Jobs. We can't think different. We got to think different. We got to think of different ways to do the business. And thinking different is a little bit different from thinking differently, if that makes any sense to you. And I hope that you see embedded in our 10 strategies that we're taking that approach to it. So we're going to spend just a little bit of time going through those strategies briefly here, but in the small groups we hope to have some deeper conversations as we all, as a community, develop some understanding about what these mean, what we're attempting to go after, and what it's going to mean. It's going to have budget implications, it's going to have resource implications, it's going to have reorganization implications, it's going to have major implications across the district. And we need everyone in the community to understand why and what this is going to look like. But before we get to the actual strategy, we've aligned them. There's some themes you're going to see from our strategy. They're curriculum and instruction related. We're going after core programs. School structures, how are schools structured as far as schedules, time, who's there, how we operate, who controls FTEs, who doesn't control, things like that. School structures are things that you're going to see embedded in our strategies. And leadership. To do this is going to take leadership at the board level, the community level, the administrative level, the teacher level. And we've spoken to those things in our strategies. So strategies. That going to help you with these?
Yes, and I really hate to read to people, but the first one, develop a consistent district-wide framework for literacy and mathematics. Really, this is the piece that I've been shouting from the rooftops in terms of special education being primarily a general education issue, right? And so we're going after our core programs. If you call anyone at the national level and you want to have a conversation with them about special education, they can tell you what conversation you're about to have with them, right? And the people that I spoke to reiterated that going after our core programs is the right direction to go. And if you read the Hare report again, it reiterates that. Develop and implement a more rigorous process to systematically monitor the educational benefit of the special education services that students are receiving. This is really a goal around ensuring that the special services that students are getting through the CSE process is benefiting them in a way that promotes access to the general ed curriculum. And I would say promotes access and successful participation. Systematizing transition meetings. We need to ensure that we are using our resources to monitor year to year how our students are doing in terms of achievement towards those individualized educational goals, and in particular, those critical transition years when they go from pre-K to K, 5 to 6, and 8 to 9. The job-embedded professional development structures to promote more inclusive practices. We need to sort of stop with this workshop approach, and we have moved away from that somewhat, right? But we have to stop this workshop approach because we know it doesn't work. The research is clear in terms of its lack of success with really changing teacher practices in the classroom.
Strategy number 5 correlates very closely with what Connie just said around the concept of ensuring that our professional development is embedded in the work. So this one specifically speaks to embedding that model with early intervention, especially in the area of language acquisition. So we're looking at increasing congruency within the individualized education plans, building capacity of general educators, and really catching, making sure that we're catching students at a very early time. The structures and professional development related to consistent behavior approach. We have miles to go before we sleep relative to discipline. We've come a long way, but really ensuring that we are investigating best practices that have uniformity and consistency. And Board of Education members, you've heard me say that ad nauseum, that phrase, about being consistent around our practices and ensuring that if a particular behavior occurs, either at a particular school or within a particular grade level, that we have some consistency to that approach while developing a strength-based approach that's respectful of the individual student. And then consistent standards to guide pre-referral, referral, and evaluation procedures. This is really critical, and especially with the fact that many of our referrals occur at the elementary level. So ensuring that we have that consistency, that our educators are trained and understand what is involved with these 3 areas, because we've seen that we haven't done a good enough job once they're classified to declassify. So making sure that those entry points of pre-referral, referral are really, really clear and consistent. Oh, in terms of restructuring central administration to allow for more effective and efficient instructional leadership that's responsive, collaborative, and again, focused on resources that best serve students with disabilities. I would just reiterate what Dr. Brown said earlier. We need to think different, right? Typically, central office has been structured in a way that creates silos, right? That really does create barriers to effectively collaborating, sharing information, and best practice. Recruiting and hiring educators who are committed to achieving success for all students. This is part of the work that Robert Van Kuren is doing in our district, in the Human Resources Committee. And this is a question that Dr. Brown asked during our first PLC day in a survey type of sort of to the entire district. Do we believe that all students can achieve at the highest levels, right? And we have to ensure that the people we're hiring believe that, and that we ask the right questions to get at those answers. And this last one is around really building an accountability and collaboration again between central office and building leaders, right? Where we'll create our own PLCs to use data, to review who is being referred to special education and why, because again, we want to ensure that we're doing that in a consistent manner and that we're following the protocols associated with referrals to the Committee on Special Education team. So you can see with these 10 strategies that the aforementioned work that we mentioned, all the way from the HARE report to the Inclusion Committee, There were bits and pieces of this work that was embedded in the work. And so now we have a document that really pulls all of that together, the academic components, and the social emotional components, as well as professional development, which we're working to increase to be job embedded. So it's a really very well done document that's research based and contains the elements that we need to move forward in a good way.
So here's your first test. We're thinking different. This meeting now is going to look different. To develop the capacity at this level, we said as leaders, at the board level, at the administrative level, we need to have a conversation about this, to have a deep understanding of it. We're looking to move into 3 different spaces in this building. One is going to be my office space, which is down the hall, L19. I just learned that today. Conference room A, which is the room C through the courtyard here, and in this room. And Dr. Myers, Ms. Evelyn, and I will be facilitating conversations. We have some of our best educators who have given up their Valentine's Days to be here. And I see the folks who are wearing red who really appreciate this day. And to my wife, I'll be home soon. But so we have some folks who've given up a lot of time to be here. And they're here to answer your questions. This is your time to engage with us and ask the tough questions. And we hope to have, again, this is just 2 months worth of work here. And no outside consultants whatsoever. It's us. And the job embedded approach and having internal conversations about what's possible. And we're here to talk to you about it some tonight.
And just to be clear, we are in public session. We will continue to be so wherever we are located. No doors will be closed. There is nothing here that will not be shared with the public, whether you're in Dr. Brown's office or the conference room A or this room. So, I think the expectation is those who are in the room will pick a room and engage in the conversation, and board members will be split up. Board members will have to do. We're going to have to. I don't know. This is hard, Dr. Brown. We're going to have to choose where we're going to go. So.
I thought you were going to pick us. I was going to pick us.
Yeah, we thought we were going to get told. So this will continue to.
For all board members.
Right, exactly.
So how long?
Hang on.
So if we can decide who's going to go where before we leave, and then we'll come back to this room at 8:30 and make up a little time. So it's a shorter conversation. We can continue, but 8:30 we'll be back in this room. So continue. No, this is one room. We have all 10 questions. And we'll be able to focus the conversation.
45 minutes.
Stay in one room, and we'll be able to. We're going to come back at 8:30. So about 30.
Are you going to count off by threes?
I'm going to let them figure that out. Who's going to go?
So we have 35 minutes. We are going to go. We are going to do this now. So Dr.
Judy say where she's going, just come around.
Yes, I'm going on the first one because I'm already doing that.
No, which room are you going to?
Which room?
Which room? All guys in our room.
Oh.
Yeah.
Which room are you going to?
Walk.